I'm a 23-year-old woman who lives with my family in my grandparents' house outside the city. Dad works far away, and Mom enjoyed having her folks around to help with me. Sadly, Mom died of cancer 12 years ago. Dad had to keep working, so I stayed with my grandparents. He always makes time for me when he's home. I miss Mom a lot, but overall, life's been okay. When Dad was home, he'd stay in their old room, or we'd go on trips together. Sadly, my grandparents passed away in the last few years. Mom was an only child, and so am I. Her life insurance went to Dad, who used it to fix up the house. They never made them pay rent. It's a bit messy, sorry. Anyway, I'm the only one in my grandma's will, so I got the money, the house, and Grandpa's truck. Dad started dating a few years after Mom died. He never brought anyone home until now. She's young and pretty, with 2 little kids. Dad talked to me about it and asked if they could move in. Since we have plenty of space, I said yes. It's been about 6 months, and now she's pregnant. Dad proposed to her, and I'm happy for him. He's a great dad. But he's not great at talking things out. My soon-to-be stepmom has started pressuring me to move out because they'll need my room for the baby. I think she wants her mom to move in and help out. Dad never mentioned that the house is actually mine. So when he came home last weekend, we had a serious talk. The stepkids have been staying in my grandparents' old room. I have my own room with a big closet and bathroom that Dad added, and he has another big room with a bathroom. She suggested I move to the city to finish school and offer me her apartment at a reduced rate. I waited for Dad to tell her the truth, but he didn't, so I did. I explained that the house is mine and I won't give up my room. I also mentioned that Dad has plenty of savings and could buy them a house, especially if they sold her apartment and used it for a down payment. Now she's upset with me for suggesting Dad use his retirement money, and she doesn't want to sell her apartment because she thinks the market will keep going up and wants to build equity. I made it clear that they should move out before the baby arrives. Am I being unreasonable? Well, tough luck. If you're going to be with a much younger woman, be prepared to support your future children and all that comes with it, instead of trying to save for retirement. It seems like his new partner might have thought he was older and richer, hoping to get more from him, but that idea fell apart when she realized he didn't own the house. It's pretty audacious to ask you to leave but then offer her old place at a discount. So no, OP, you're not in the wrong here. Wow, your dad's really chosen someone special. Even without knowing the house was yours, trying to kick you out to make room for her baby, probably without even talking to your dad first, is pretty thoughtless. It's also pretty unreasonable to expect him to buy a house but not be willing to sell her place to help out. And if he can't stand up to her about it, he's in for a tough time. But that's not your problem. Your dad's a grown-up who's responsible for his own choices. You didn't leave them with no options. She wanted a place without you, and now she can have it. Problem solved. They could make some compromises and find a good living situation. Your stepmom and dad are trying to push you out of your own home, where you've let them and the kids stay for free. It might be a good idea to talk to a lawyer soon. Getting rid of them legally might be tougher than you think. In many places, someone who's been staying with you can become a legal tenant, even if they haven't been paying rent. Story 2. I'm a 30-year-old woman with a young daughter named Lily. My brother James, 32, recently got married to Brittany, who's 26. Before they got together, I knew Brittany casually, but we weren't close. James and I, however, are really tight. When James proposed to Brittany and they started planning the wedding, they made it clear that Lily and I would be involved. They even said Lily would be a flower girl and I would be the maid of honor. But a few weeks before the wedding, Brittany came to talk to me. She said her family had concerns about having kids at the ceremony, so they decided to make it adults only. However, Lily was still invited to the reception. So I said something like, "Sure, it's your big day. I'll do whatever James wants." Then came the rehearsal. Everything was going smoothly until Brittany's 3 young nieces trotted in as junior bridesmaids. I was puzzled and a bit irritated, but I brushed it off. Later, James took me aside and confessed that Brittany was worried Lily might cause a scene and ruin the wedding, hence the fib about it being child-free. I was hurt and upset that they thought that about my daughter, but I kept my cool. I had already made arrangements for a friend to look after Lily during the ceremony and join us later for the reception. James acknowledged my feelings and disagreed with Lily not being invited. On the wedding day, Brittany asked why Lily wasn't there while we were getting ready. I explained she was with a friend and would join us later. Brittany insisted on calling to bring Lily for the photos, fearing people would wonder why she was missing, and it would reflect poorly on her. I told her she could call, but my friend was aware of the plan and wouldn't come until I asked her to. Brittany called James, hoping he'd persuade me to change my mind, but he understood the arrangement and didn't see any issue with it. She then asked what to say if people noticed Lily's absence in the photos. I suggested she explain that Lily wasn't invited due to concerns about tantrums. That didn't sit well with her, and she called me a name and accused me of being too sensitive. The rest of the wedding was uncomfortable, to say the least, with other drama going on within the party unrelated to our situation. James shared the wedding photos with our family group chats, and now extended family members are asking why Lily isn't in any of them. I've explained what happened, and while my mom supports me, my aunts and uncles think I overreacted. Do you think I'm the one at fault here? What a mess. But honestly, I don't think I am. Why should your daughter be in the pictures if she wasn't invited? But I'm curious, why is your family so worried about her having a tantrum? Is this something that happens often? No, tantrums aren't typical for her. It's really out of character. Originally, I was just a bridesmaid, but some drama led Brittany to make me the maid of honor. The bride and groom made it clear it was their decision who was invited. Lying to you about it was really unfair. They don't have an excuse there. They're trying to make it seem like kids were welcome when Lily was actually excluded. It's their big day, and that should be respected, but it doesn't mean using your daughter for photos or misleading the family about her being invited. Exactly, Brittany got what she wanted. Lily wasn't at the ceremony but was at the reception. Sometimes we need to be careful what we wish for. The photos tell the story perfectly, and when people ask, make sure to mention how Brittany lied about the wedding being child-free. Story 3. I'm a 25-year-old woman married to my 27-year-old husband, and I've been hearing nonstop about this from my in-laws. My husband has a younger sister, Alice, who's 22, and in my opinion, she can be quite difficult. Alice had some health issues as a child, but she managed to overcome them. However, her parents were extremely lenient with her, to the point where she couldn't be corrected without it turning into a big deal. She's lost several jobs because of this, and she doesn't have many friends. She always needs to be the center of attention. So on my other sister-in-law's birthday, their parents bought Alice a gift just to avoid her getting jealous. As for me, I'm an only child, and my best friend, Marie, is like a sister to me. We've been inseparable since 3rd grade, bonding instantly because we were both only children. We're fiercely protective of each other. When my husband and I decided to have a summer wedding, I was surprised to see Alice show up wearing a lacy white dress. I might have believed you if you said she ordered it from a wedding catalog. Between the ceremony and the main reception, there was a cocktail hour. I started getting annoyed because so many people kept asking me about Alice. They mistook her for my husband's ex instead of his sister. I could see that Marie was getting upset too. She walked over to my husband's family and gave them a piece of her mind. On her way back, she tripped and spilled her glass of red wine near Alice. Alice dashed to the bathroom, followed by my mother-in-law, while my father-in-law came over demanding that Marie leave. I refused, explaining that Marie is a lightweight and it was just an accident. My husband supported me, pointing out that Marie's slim build means she can't handle as much alcohol, but we promised to make sure she sobered up before the reception. At the reception, Alice looked stunning in a beautiful green dress, and Marie miraculously felt better. My in-laws haven't stopped talking about the incident, but I find it hard to feel guilty, even though I know it wasn't an accident. You're definitely not in the wrong, and your best friend is amazing. That's true friendship. Don't let your in-laws make you feel bad or guilty. They need to stop coddling Alice and move on from this childish behavior. Maybe it's time to have a frank conversation with them and tell them to grow up. It's great that your husband stood by you. Another approach could have been for him to talk to his sister directly and tell her she needs to change her behavior. I get why he might hesitate, but standing up to his family would show his wife that he's got her back and they're a team. He probably didn't want his wedding day to turn into a scene with his sister throwing a fit in front of everyone. Your in-laws might have enabled her behavior, and your friend was just trying to fix the white dress situation. It's common knowledge not to wear white to a wedding. And since Alice had a backup dress, what's the big deal? And if she ever finds someone to marry her, just wait for the chance to accidentally announce your pregnancy at her wedding. It seems like some people just can't stand to see others shine. My sister-in-law is quite the character. I once saw her shed tears because she didn't get a turkey leg at Thanksgiving dinner when she was just 20. Now, as I'm preparing for my own wedding in 3 months, I've sent out the invitations with clear instructions. Avoid wearing white, for obvious reasons, and stick to emerald green for the bridesmaids' dresses. I've also requested RSVPs by a certain date, as the reception dinner is quite pricey and I don't want to pay for no-shows. Other than that, guests can wear whatever they like. Kids and families are welcome, and I'm not too fussed about attire, except for those specific colors. Just to give you some background, my sister-in-law is my fiance's sister. While we're not super close, we have an okay relationship, we don't hate each other, and we get along fine. During my fiance's birthday bash, some friends and I got to talking about the wedding plans. They remarked on how laid back I seemed about the rules and how refreshing it was not to feel like they were walking on eggshells. I explained that I just wanted everyone to have a good time, so I didn't want to impose too many restrictions. Later, the girlfriend of one of my fiance's friends showed me the dress she was considering for our wedding and asked for my opinion on whether it was appropriate or did she'd steal the spotlight. It was a bold yellow number, but I genuinely liked it and encouraged her to wear it. I assured her that as the bride, it's not easy to outshine me, and even if someone did, it wouldn't bother me too much. I didn't mean any harm by it, but my sister-in-law took offense and called me pretentious. She was upset because she had strict rules at her own wedding, like no kids and a strict dress code, and we followed them without complaint. I never meant to upset her. I was simply explaining my own wedding plans and the reasoning behind them. But she accused me of subtly undermining her and called me a snake, insisting that if I had something to say, I should say it to her face. Then she stormed out with her husband. My mother-in-law agreed that my sister-in-law overreacted, but she also said I shouldn't have flaunted my laid-back approach, as it may have made her feel bad about her own wedding choices. However, my fiancé and I didn't do anything wrong, and eventually my sister-in-law will have to move on. Am I in the wrong here? Definitely not. It seems like she's internalizing her own issues and projecting them onto me. She might also be jealous that I'm taking a more relaxed approach to my wedding planning. I won't apologize to her. She's the one being dramatic. It's like the saying goes, some people think the world revolves around them. But in this case, it's my sister-in-law. I can't control how she reacts or make her see that it's not about her. On a lighter note, it's quite impressive how she managed to keep her bridezilla tendencies even when it's someone else's wedding. Maybe her strict wedding rules were meant to prevent someone else from stealing her thunder. But in the end, it's my day, and I'm going to do it my way. Thank you for the congratulations, and I'm looking forward to a fantastic wedding. We had a new colleague, Christina, join our team, a friendly woman in her late 30s who's married with kids. We had several chats before becoming close. But one day, while she was sitting, her cleavage became more noticeable. The office atmosphere grew awkward, and some of the guys started avoiding eye contact. It was a minor issue, but it kept happening. A couple of my male coworkers confided in me about feeling uncomfortable with Christina's attire. Being more of a tomboy, they felt at ease discussing it with me. They mentioned feeling uneasy encountering a similar situation to the one I described. I couldn't help but notice that all of Christina's tops seemed designed to show cleavage. The next day, I casually mentioned to her how her cleavage was on display. She didn't respond, just nodded. So I decided to ask Christina if she intentionally chose clothes that accentuated her cleavage. She seemed offended and asked if there was a problem. I expressed that it made me feel uncomfortable if that was the case, especially in a professional setting with male colleagues around. She became upset and questioned why it was any of my business what she wore. I clarified that she could wear whatever she wanted, but some colleagues felt uneasy being exposed to such attire at work. She retorted that it wasn't my business and suggested that those who had issues with her clothing should confront her directly instead of hiding behind me. We argued, and while some female coworkers agreed with me, they also mentioned that I could have worded my concerns more tactfully. Christina started avoiding some of us, which seemed unprofessional since part of our job involves interacting with each other. When I tried to approach her to discuss the situation, it led to another argument. She threatened to involve the administrators if I persisted, but my intention was simply to address the issue and find a resolution. Do you think I overstepped by saying that to her? Those male colleagues must be thrilled with your behavior, huh? You're trying to set yourself apart from other women to gain their approval, aren't you? But let's be clear, her cleavage is none of your concern, okay? It's her choice how she dresses. What you and the guys are doing is body shaming. If I were her, I'd take this to HR. If the men are uncomfortable, maybe they need a reminder about self-control. Shame on you for getting involved. You're definitely in the wrong here. Being a woman doesn't give you the right to dictate how your coworkers dress. You're not her boss, and you're not enforcing a dress code violation. You're just trying to impose your own standards on her. Whether she's married with kids or not is irrelevant. Focus on your own work, and if coworkers try to gossip, keep it to yourself.